Okay. And hello, everyone. Today we have a wonderful guest. This is Coco. I'm happy to introduce her a little bit. Actually, I kind of don't know her clothes, but I'm lucky to meet her in person a few times at Diamond Mountain. And I've heard a lot about her. I've heard about, oh, this cottage was built by Coco, or somebody's gonna do retreat in Coco's cottage. And it was a lot of kind of influence of Coco at Diamond Mountain when I was volunteering there. So I'm interested in the stories, and Coco, I got massage from Coco. It was wonderful. I enjoyed a lot. And she's a massage therapist. She's amazing. But I would like to know more, and I would like to share with you guys. Because, you know, for me, Coco is kind of secret person. I was observing her doing some high spiritual practices, kind of partly hidden, and it was something very interesting for me, and because I would like to know her more closer. I guess, guys, you are also the same. You would be interested in her stories. And I know that she finished 3-year retreat at Diamond Mountain, 1,000 days, 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days. And she built a wonderful, beautiful cottage far away from the village. And only, my personal opinion, that only super brave people can live so far away from everyone. So I am happy to introduce you, Coco, and please send your hearts and emojis and whatever. And thank you, Coco, for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be with you. Good day, everybody. I don't know if it's morning where you are. It's a bit morning here. I'm in Arizona, maybe 1.5 hours from Diamond Mountain. I see Katerina's there, her name. I don't know if you feel comfortable and you can turn your videos on. I could see your faces, makes it more fun for me if you would like. I didn't really have something specifically planned to talk about. So maybe we'll save a little time if you have questions. But I will share a little about maybe my background, my journey, how I found my way, and what things I'm kind of passionate about and like to practice. And maybe that will be interesting for you.
Yeah, sure. It would be very interesting. And please tell us the story. Why are you here? Why you are in Buddhism? Why are you in the seeds teachings? Why are you so deep in it? So what are the benefits for you? And how did you join this path?
Thank you. I guess at some point, maybe all of us, maybe at some point, have some questions about life or how it works or what's going on. And in my early 20s, when I was in university, I had many questions of what was going on beyond my family and the world around me. So I tried to study everything I could in occult bookstores, in astrology, in teachers, in different traditions, and try to understand some things. Maybe around 22, I had a very powerful meditation experience, but I didn't know that's what it was. So in the back of my mind, as I went through my life, I guess it never went away. I don't know if this is interesting, but I had a friend, she was doing a ceremony for the first new moon of the new year. And they said it was very powerful, that whatever you wanted or wanted to commit to was going to come true. So it was like a genie in a bottle and you have only one wish. So before that episode, I thought, oh, I'm a dancer studying classical ballet and trying to make my way in the professional dance world in New York City. And so I thought, oh, I wanted more work or something to do with that. But when my friend who was holding the ceremony said, no, this is important. What you ask for will come true. And somehow, never in my life before, I thought about something that I thought was the most important thing that I could ask for. So I didn't waste my wish. I will share with you what I asked for, although usually I mean, it was just really special to me. And I really wanted to hear, I wanted to hear what came up for me. And I don't know where, I think maybe some former lifetime or something. I wanted to hear the voice of God. I wanted to hear the wisdom of God directly. And within that year, I found my yoga teachers and I found Geshe Michael. And the way I found them was very extraordinary. Like there was no doubt in my mind that that question I had in the back of my mind, that there was something going on here and I had to find out. The room was magnetized. There was somebody I never met in the room. It was at my former partner's house. And I sat down with this person I had never met before for about 45 minutes. I'm sorry if I was talking quick. And at one point in the conversation, we talked about everything in the world. And I asked, he said, there's a teacher you should meet. And in the back of my mind, some part of me said, that's it. So I had to go back to that apartment several times to meet his girlfriend, to ask her to take me to meet this teacher. And I went 3 times, the first time to become her friend and get to know her. And I asked a little question, what about the teacher? And then I went back a week or 2 weeks later and I said, wow, it'd sure be nice to meet them. And then I went back a 3rd time and she said, oh, yes, we can go meet him. And fortunately, Geshe Michael opened his classes to anyone who wanted to come that day, or the day that we went. It was a Wednesday. And I went and that was it. I met Geshe-la. And what inspired me tremendously was he spoke about things that maybe nobody in the world that I knew was talking about. The things that he said that grabbed my heart was, you don't have to die. And somewhere in me believed that, like found some truth in that. I don't know why, but I did. And the second thing, he said, there's a map to your highest evolution. And on this map, you can tell where you are in your spiritual evolution. And that really struck me as interesting. Like, I would like to know where I am in my evolution. The third thing was, he said there were many ways to meditate. There are many kinds of meditation. And when I was younger at 22 and I had that experience, I couldn't find information anywhere. Like nobody was talking about that experience I had. So I thought, oh, finally, I'm going to find the answers to that. So that was the beginning for me. Then 7 years later, 5 years, 7 years of Asian classic studies with him. While he was in retreat, I went to study with his teacher, Ken Rinpoche, which was phenomenal. And then when Geshe came out of retreat, he started that place, Diamond Mountain in Arizona, to teach advanced studies. And one of the aspects of that program was at the end of 6 years of studying these advanced ideas and practices, you could go into a 3-year retreat, meditation retreat. And I don't know where or why, but I said, I want to do that. And so I just continued on that path. I feel like I was, I don't know, like a donkey. We say ass in English. And my teacher had a carrot on a stick in front of my face, waving a carrot. Here, little donkey, come eat this. Here, little donkey. Really, through all those years of study. So I just followed what my teacher said. And I wanted to do retreat because of all those maybe 13 years of formal studies. I had to work, I had a job. I could never practice enough of what he was teaching. Every class, every course had so many practices. And then on top of those practices, there would be new meditations or new practices. So there was never enough time to delve into all those practices fully. So besides being inspired by all those courses of study, I really wanted to practice without any other interruptions. I wanted to know if those teachings were true. I wanted to know, could they deliver what the stories I was reading about were telling me? I wanted to know for myself directly. And then along with that retreat, the 3-year retreat, there were many people who were helping to feed us by giving their time, their life as volunteers to take care of us on the outside, and people all around the world who were contributing money to feed us. And I felt very happily, very dearly that people wanted to know also, did those teachings work? Do they work? And they were willing to support us with their life, with their energy, with their money, to see that they couldn't be there sitting in a cabin by themselves for 3 years. But I could. And I felt like I had an obligation to them, that they wanted to take care of me, and I had to work my hardest for them. And that was the biggest gift of retreat for me. It was to be able to work for people in a meaningful way. And probably without Geshe Michael, I wouldn't know that, how to work so hard to really give my life to others. And it does make me so happy. So that kind of happiness in one way was delivered like that. I think one thing that brings us all together often, and now in this Zoom call, probably that we all have in common, is that desire in our heart to be able to take care of others. Like something wants to do that. We all see problems in the world, problems in our family, problems in our country, problems with health, mental health, understanding, war. And we want to make a difference, and we want someone to give us an answer or show us a way. Like some part of us believes that's possible. And then we meet a being like Geshe Michael, who gives us those answers, those instructions, those tools of how to practice. And 3-year retreat for me was a way to do that 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And I was really, really happy that I could go just that every single day, even when it was very hard. So I will tell you what was hard about it. So you get practices, you get instructions, you hear about the seeds, you hear about how to plant those seeds for what you want, how to make a change. And then in retreat, I closed myself off, no electricity, I had water. Someone was bringing food every 2 weeks that I didn't see. But I had to bring in myself. I had to bring in my whole past life. I didn't get to leave myself behind. Myself came with me. So maybe all the ways in the world that I was distracted with day-to-day life, suddenly I didn't have those distractions. So all the problems I caused in my own life, everything that happened in my life, I had to review it. So I probably caused a lot of trouble in my life with ignorance and not understanding how seeds work, how the world works, where things are coming from, how I created my experience. I had to be responsible now. And I was happy to, but it was very dark for the first year, having to clean up my mistakes. That meant understanding them, purifying them. And I made some very big mistakes. And it was very nice in retreat because I could repair them, investigate them. So I, at my best, would never have to come back to a life and be very ignorant. I still have ignorances, but I still work at them. But that was a gift, and that was a lot of work. I couldn't run away. I tried everything else. If I could run away, it was very hard. I just have to say that was hard. But in the best way. It's kind of like the one war or battlefield that really matters. Like we see war all around us, outside, in movies, in our homes, in our countries. And we're like, where does that come from? And we hear from Geshe and Michael, oh, you know, you created that. You're responsible for what you're seeing. If you don't want to see it, you have to go inside and rewire your mind. And retreat's a wonderful place to do that, or begin that. And I don't know, it started to work. Suddenly, all those practices started to kind of clean. It's like a windshield wiper on a car. It was very dirty and you can't see clearly your world, how things are working. And then little by little, every day, you kind of clean a little, clean a little, clean a little, clean a little bit more. And then suddenly you get a little peek through that's a little clear. Like on a stormy day, you get one little break in the clouds and a little bit of light comes in and you're like, oh, there's not gonna be like this forever. The first year of retreat was like that. Dark, 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 dark. And then finally a little break and a little light's coming in from the efforts that you make practicing. And you're like, oh, great. It's not going to be dark like this for always. I'm on the battlefield. I'm battling where it counts. And it's changing and it won't always be dark and grimy. It will change. And then it did. It really started to get bright. And the seeds that I could plant mentally of what's important, how to treat people, where to repair, how to think of people, how to work for people. It started to get brighter and brighter. And that windshield that was so dirty, maybe from lifetimes of ignorance, it got purified and new seeds planted of caring. And then I began to see how all the different courses that I took, before it was like, oh, here's some courses on compassion, here's some courses on wisdom, here's some courses on seeds, but they were all separate. I didn't see the thread that tied all of those courses together. And then suddenly, they began to make sense as a whole, not like little parts of studies. I began to see how they work together to create the world, to clean my mind, to help focus my mind. And that was huge. Maybe I will say, and I don't know why I want to say it. Maybe accomplishment, maybe an accomplishment, like, okay, finally, I can hold my mind steady. Finally, I understood how meditation works and was able to sustain that single pointed focus, which was a necessary component to see wisdom directly. Anyway, I can talk on and on about retreat, but I guess to say the battlefield, the one that has to take place for us to make big progress, you know, it happens in this mind, and it happens often on a meditation cushion. And then that work that we do there helps us to show up for others in a way that we really want to, you know, clear, unobstructed with our faults. Like sometimes, you know, maybe an example, someone's yelling at you and you forget all your studies that you can't yell back or have negative thoughts back towards them. You know, it's an instinct, but you can make enough power and strength in your mind, in your wisdom, in your understanding, not to respond that way, to think only of love and care about that other person. And it's a beautiful way to live. Do you want to ask me another question, or do you want me to go on?
That's great. That's amazing. I am listening to you and I don't want to ask something because you're going so nicely and you're telling us about so wonderful things. So maybe you can give some advices. How can I control my mind and bring it to one pointed concentration to be able to have direct experience of wisdom? What we normal people can do.
Yeah.
Children, what we can do to reach that point.
I really think the things that helped me the most, certainly developing the habit of sitting on my cushion every day, even for 5 minutes and 10 minutes. It's the weapon in the battle of your mind doing its own thing. So I think the mind's job is to give us information. Our mind's job is to give us information about everything that we become aware of. It will give us the positive of what we're seeing. It will give us the negative of what we're seeing, and it'll give us neutral feelings about what we're seeing. And it does that about everything, which means it's a heavy load of lots of information coming in. Does that make sense, what I said?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And so when you sit down every day, you begin to program your mind. I don't want all the information. I don't want all of it. I only want information that helps me for some specific things. And so you can start to just not listen to all the babble. Just give me the information that helps me reach my goals. Just give me, like, it's programming your mind to give you only the information you want and programming yourself only to hear it. So it's mind training. Like, don't give me everything, just how to reach my goal. How do I take care of my family and all beings? Like, tell me how to do that. Don't just tell me how to get the job or how to get the shopping done or how to watch the AI thing or all the information we get. It's really a way to get really specific about how to use this incredible tool we have, this incredible mind that we have. And so you have to program it to give you specifically what you want and kind of reprimand it when it gives you information you don't want. Like, I don't want to know why that person's seems crazy, for example. Or I want to know, how do I serve that person? You know, don't give me everything. We don't need it. We just need the information that helps us reach our goal. So I think meditation, developing a meditation practice, slowly, that's what it's teaching us, how to give us just the information that we want, not all of it. And it's interesting these days because so much information coming at us every day on the telephone, on the internet, like it's just insane the amount of information coming at us. On one level, it's wonderful. We have access to so much information, anything. But we only need specific information for a particular goal. And if we want to live a meaningful, purposeful life, then we really want the specifics to achieving that. What's meaningful to you? What moves your heart? We're all different. It's incredible that there's no two beings alike. There's no second that is the same for us. Each moment, each second, each person is completely different. How do you live with that? How do you, it's so incredible. So we get to think in our heart, oh, how do you want the world to be? How do you want your world to be? Not everybody else's world necessarily, but the world that you walk in. Maybe you want to live in a world where everybody that you see is really happy. That's your world. And can you do it? And how do you do it? So you begin by really finding what's personal to you. You don't want to live my life or somebody else's. You want to live your life because each person's mind is wired so specifically, so uniquely to you. What's beautiful about the seed method is that it works even for everybody who's different. It's incredible. So you have a lot of work to do for yourself. What kind of world do you want? What are the issues coming up for you that are challenging? And it's a blessing to have challenges that are difficult, that move your heart, that make you angry or make you cry. Like, that's the power there, that when you see it and you work with it to transform it, your answers, the answers you're looking for on how to make your world the one you want to live in, to make your mind the one you want to have, it's in those difficulties. And the harder those difficulties are, whether it's relationships or your government or whatever they are, the answers in those difficulties. Oh, I don't like this, how it is. I have to change myself. it's very empowering because the answer is not outside. It's right here with you on your cushion in your heart. Oh, I don't want that. What do I have to do differently? And then it's wonderful. It's like, wow, you can make a difference. And you go at it every day. And that's your battlefield. That's your war that really matters. And the tools and the weapons that you have, you want to use them very wisely. Your time, your compassion, your love, your wisdom, the one that wants to see the world differently. So it's really a perfect system. You look, what do you like? What don't you like? You have to remove the things you don't like by working here. And the more it affects your heart, the more power that you have to change it. Because if you only try to change something with your mind, it's not enough. You need your heart. The heart has the power to make a change, to make a real change, a real transformation. We need both. And we need the compassion and we need the wisdom. Both of them together are unbeatable. And persistence, not to give up, to keep working till you get the change. So the other things that will help, so one is meditation, like what advice would I give? And the other, I think I know it's working with your ethics. Do you work with those in the seeds? Like the 10 non-virtues kind of thing? That's the next thing that you must work with, your ethics, because that's where we're making the mistakes. That's where we're creating the seeds that blind us to the truth of how things work. When we're aligned with the truth of how things work, which is those two, the heart and the mind, the compassion and the wisdom, when those two are aligned in ourself, we see clearly, we hear clearly, we know very deeply, oh, right. This world I created, and this is where it starts with how I think, what I do, what I say. And the wisdom that we understand becomes very profound. So that's what happened in retreat. So many days, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, practicing every day in that environment helped see like, oh, I'm cleaning my wrong way of thinking. I'm cleaning it and replacing that with correct way of thinking. And that anything that was blocking me from understanding the world in a complete way, like really understanding my world on levels I never could have imagined. The ability, when our mind is clean, that clean, we see so much more. We hear so more deeply than we do in day-to-day normal life. And that's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And we all have the ability to do that. It just takes work on our own battlefield, day after day, cleaning the dirt, the ignorance, the misunderstandings. And the clues to the dirt, the misunderstandings are what we like when we look out in the world and what we don't like. Anyway, it's an incredible place to be. So the two things, meditation and keeping your vows, your commitments, your ethical life, so powerful. Like do those and you're like, you're home. You can't fail with that. And then it's just a matter of time. And the more you study, the more you understand and practice. The seeds, when we talk about it, it sounds so simple. Oh yeah, seeds, plant good seeds, get good results. But we're much more complex. Our wiring's much more complex. Yes, it is that simple. But when we're obscured with our wisdom, when it's not operating optimally, we make a lot of mistakes. We're not perfected yet. So we have to be gentle to ourselves. Don't expect so much. It's you're trying, you know, when we try, we know each ourselves individually how much we're trying. If we're trying a little bit, if we're trying a lot, so you can rest. If you're not trying hard enough, you can figure out how to try more. If you are trying your best, well then what more can you do? So you can be content with that, what you're giving your efforts. And those efforts will bring you, I think what's nice about seeds, the efforts and meditating, you can see what your practice is bringing you. You know, by what's going on in your mind, how you're responding to your world. You can see where you are with your practice.
How can you see it? How can you find this balance between laziness and how can you find if I'm doing enough, if I can work harder, or if I'm going to bad place because I work too hard?
Oh,
How
that's
to find
fair.
the
That's true. I
balance?
forgot. It's true. Yeah, how do you see? Well, for sure, you already see your life change by what you're practicing, like something that you weren't doing before. I know that when I start to keep my commitments, my ethical commitments, I definitely I want to say I got happier, but really what happened was I became more aware. I paid more attention. I began to become aware of how my mind is wired. It would stop me, you know, throughout my day. Wait a minute. What are you going on? So whatever habits I had, it slowed the habits down and gave me a chance to shut off the habit to create a new one. Oh, I don't want to respond by yelling or thinking bad thoughts about somebody. I don't want to get jealous about somebody else having something. It gave me a moment to correct. But the question was, how do you see it? I think it comes with being compassionate for yourself. When you're not sure, am I doing enough? Nothing's changing. I don't understand. The practice of compassion for yourself, maybe sometime, yeah, the practice of compassion for yourself will help you understand how to be compassionate for somebody else. When you're trying, it's like, I'm trying, but I don't know if it's working. Yes, but you're trying. You're trying, but I'm not trying enough. Do you want to try harder? Well, yes. Well, then what can you do different? I don't know. Do you want to sit, meditate more? Do you want to study? You can give yourself the answers there and work with yourself. You are empowered to make this work. And feeling bad about it not working fast enough in a way might not be helpful. If it was helpful, go ahead, do it. You know, beat up yourself if it's going to be helpful. But if it's not helpful, generally, I don't think it's helpful. it's for sure more helpful to celebrate and pat yourself on the back for what you are doing. It is much, much, much more effective. Like, for sure, do that. Don't waste a moment yelling at yourself for not doing something good enough or fast enough or knowing enough, unless it breaks your heart open, you know, unless it hurts so bad and like, I can't stand doing, not understanding, and it breaks your heart open. That's helpful because you're talking from the deepest aspect of your being. And when you're there, truth and help can come very quickly, and it often does. I can't think when it doesn't. It's the most powerful part of being truthful with yourself. And we're looking to understand ultimate truth. We're looking to operate from there, from wisdom and its relationship to compassion, because you can't separate wisdom and compassion, love. They operate together. And they operate together so deeply, which is why you have to sit on your meditation cushion every day to begin to sit in that and understand it. We are very dense beings. We don't understand that. We're so habituated to wrong ways of doing things that unless we come like, no, I want to sit in the way truth happens. I want to sit in that wisdom with love. I want to be there. I want to operate from there. So every moment we sit on our cushion and surround ourselves with that gives the opportunity for that kind of seed to multiply. And that's the seed we want to operate in. Oh, right. I want to operate from ultimate wisdom and love, that union together, because we're making that mistake of not operating from there. Habits, without those habits being rooted in wisdom. So when we sit and like, I'm sitting because I want to operate from ultimate truth, the way things function for sure. I want to understand that 110%. I need that. Help me. The cushion is the cry for help. Help me do that. Help me do that. And because of the way the mind works in seeds, when you put your mind on that object, the union of wisdom and love, how they function in the ultimate truth way, the more we spend time there, the more it can start to, I don't know if you have this, in when your sink gets clogged, or your shower drain or your sink drain, and the water won't go down anymore. You use Drano. Do you have this brand, Drano? You put it and it eats away at the clog and the knots. We kind of
so
that.
it's a powder, yeah?
Yeah, powder or liquid, maybe gel these days, I don't know. But it's like that. We are a big ball of knots and muck of habits not rooted in wisdom and love. And when we put the Drano, the seeds, the thoughts of that ultimate truth, it begins to eat away at that big knot, but of muck, but that big knot of muck and dirt, it's been there. If there's lifetimes, I don't know. I don't think it's the first time we've been at this game, but he begins to eat at that and dissipate it. So when we sit and think about that, it eats away. So how do you tell? I think it's how you show up for yourself every day. Like, do you check into your heart? And where are you today? Where are you in that moment as you sit on your cushion? Where's your mind? What does it want? Why do you want it? Why is it important? And you have a moment in your day that you ask those questions. It's being with your ultimate evolved self, because that's your highest view of understanding and love in that moment when you sit and you connect to yourself. What am I doing here? Why am I doing it? What do I want? So it's like programming every day, reprogramming. So if you're not seeing how your practice is working, then you maybe need to check in more honestly, but with yourself on your cushion. Like what you feel and think is what matters there, not what the world thinks and feels, but what you feel and think. This is personal practice. And that matters. That's almost all that matters at that time. And that gift and love you give to yourself to show up for whatever your personal reasons are matters. That's the power. That's the power to steer your life and change it. So if you're doing that, that's like the best thing you could do in your day. And if you're doing that every day, that's huge. So there's some kind of, I think it kind of experiment, or if you were to take a ball and roll it, and let's say, I don't know, I don't have a ball. Imagine I have a ball and you have a goal. You have the ball here and the goal here. And maybe it seems so far away, like the end of the universe. But you're like, no, I'm going to reach that. And it's like, you do a little and you're like, I'm not there yet. This is terrible. This, I say, sucks. I'm terrible. I'm never going to be able to do it. It's not really, it's not useful. It's not realistic to think, oh, I'm going to do it right away. Like if you want to play concert piano, like you can't think that I'm just learning the keys the first time or first year and that you're going to play some amazing Rachmaninoff the next week. Like it takes time to develop the skills and the passion and the feeling and the understanding before you reach it. But if you love that moment and you show up fully, it's enough. So every day, here's your goal at the opposite end of the universe over here. I don't know how to show you on the screen over here. And you're the ball. But every little day, because of seeds, like slowly, the wiser you get, the more you understand what you're doing. At one moment, the seeds will have to ripen to reach that goal because seeds work. So it's just a matter of time. The better you begin to understand seeds, the more you understand how that process works, the faster they ripen. So maybe in the beginning, it seems slow. Am I going to know that I'm going to get there or that I'm doing enough? How can I know I'm suffering right now? I'm like, but I sat on my cushion this morning and I listened to a talk about wisdom and how things work and how to change my life and transform myself. Celebrate that. Celebrate the efforts, not each moment of the day, just the efforts that really matter and will have an effect. Don't spend time with the other things, just the efforts you make. Because when we do things that we love, we want to do them more. So rejoice in the little efforts will help keep you on your cushion and studying. Does that help, Kajun, to understand that? How do you tell?
Yeah, thank
In the
you.
day?
Thank you so much for your advices. I already wrote down some main points for me, some new ideas for me. And compassion is the great compassion to yourself is the great thing for me personally, because I work hard, then I'm dead. And okay, never mind. Just forget it. And it takes some time to come back. So maybe check from time to time if I'm working too hard or if I'm lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe lazy is just resting because you don't have the energy to point you about what to do. And that's not lazy, that's just not knowing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we just want to celebrate what we do and know. It will improve. it will improve. Because of seeds, it will improve. And the ripening, yeah, can come. So maybe it's hard, like, how do you stay? But I think it's your love, it's your heart. It's like really being in touch with you on in the most personal way, probably, and the most personal way that you don't share with anybody else. You know, there's a way we show up to the world in general. There's a way we show up maybe just to our close friends and family. Maybe a way we show up to our best, our closest friend. And then a way that you show up that only you understand, that only you know. And we want to work at that level too. And we want to take care of people outside, but we also want to work at that level because that's where change happens in its most fundamental place.
Yeah. Thank you. Great advices. I appreciate it a lot.
Well, I hope it's helpful.
Sometimes now people come and ask what I'm doing wrong. I work really hard. I see a lot of changes in my world, but I see worse. For example, somebody else, I live in Ukraine and it's always here. I work hard. I almost kind of figured out my anger. And the war is still there. I'm maybe suffered without it. Maybe I'm not suffering just directly, but I see it everywhere around me. What I'm doing wrong,
Probably.
or what I can improve. Yeah. Could you give some advice or say something about that?
Yeah, I think I just want to remind myself that we were talking about health and this state of health, right? I think before I met Geshe, I was studying the arts, and I was studying body work and massage treatments, and I was after health, like how do I be healthy? And you know, thinking about it deeply, I'm like, I don't want to just be healthy physically. I want optimal health. What is optimal health? What does optimal health look like? And really, I didn't have an answer, but that's what I wanted. I'm like, I want the optimal health. Like, there's nothing higher like that. And I think maybe in part that helped me find Geshe too. Like, I was looking for the answer that wasn't just a little fix or feel good for a day, but how do I feel good, like the best anyone ever could be? I'm not living there in war country. Well, I have different kinds of wars here where I am. So I don't know how difficult it can be. But I think if you're not closing your mind to that, like just to preserve oneself, sometimes maybe you can't be thinking about the war all the time. Like, I still have to live and feed my family and do the shopping, but I found one of the biggest things that I can do when things are the hardest is wanting to take that and remove it so nobody ever has to experience that again. So that personal feeling you have about war, for example, that you're seeing, why I'm doing everything I can, why am I doing everything I can? You want to maybe take the focus off, why am I doing everything I can, off of you trying to do it, everything you can to have it change, and maybe take that experience that hurts so much and use it. I want nobody to feel this ever again. And so mentally, you plant the seed to remove it. Do they do tonglen in the seeds? We're removing things from, it's an amazing practice that you have when you can do a tonglen practice, removing the suffering that you're seeing or feeling. So nobody in the world, past, present, future, ever have to feel that thing again. So when you feel like it's not changing. The world's not changing. I don't know why this war is still going on. I'm doing everything I can. It's not changing. Take that feeling that hurts so much. Like, I don't want anyone to have that happen in their country again. I don't want anyone to see their homes blow up, their sons get killed. I don't want that. Use the pain that you're experiencing and don't waste it. And say, because you're feeling it so strongly, the emotion in meditation practice is an incredible tool to make that meditation practice more powerful than it could ever be without the emotion. The emotion's important. It's the power behind you removing that from your world by taking it away from everyone else. Like, may no one ever see their child have to die in the world. And let me take every being that ever has to feel that, that's feeling that now, that may feel it in the future, that have felt it in the past. And let me take that and burn it with my understanding of wisdom and how it came to be, and send back the wisdom that will never be that way again. Send back that light and love to every being that ever felt it in the past, feeling it in the present, that could feel it in the future, and remove it from them. So when we're feeling disheartened or no, I'm not doing enough, use that, what you're feeling disheartened about, and remove it from the world. Don't waste the opportunity to remove it. You know, it took a lot of seeds ripening to experience what you had. And those seeds are ripening now. But in order for them not to ripen in the future, you have to remove it from this moment now, in the past. You see, the seeds were already planted to see what we're seeing. So we have to change it so it's not that way. And it can take a long time. It didn't just take one moment to experience what's happening. It took many lifetimes and generations to create what's happening, that ignorance. And the only place that we can effectively change it is that space in our cushion where it gave birth. And that birth has to be changed. No, this is what I want to birth. This is the seeds I want to ripen. Not what I'm seeing now, but we have to see what we're seeing now, use it, so we remove it from ever having to see it in the future. Because the seeds are there, we're seeing it. So I hope that helps. It's been powerful for me. Don't think it's not powerful doing the Tonglen practice. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. It's the only thing that ever worked. So feel strong about yourself. And slowly, I think, slowly on our cushion, we get certain times where the meditation practice or the study reaches us and we have a glimpse of, oh, I had a really good experience on my cushion today, or I had a really good day with everybody. Just because it doesn't happen all the time doesn't mean it's not effective what you're doing. It's the only place that's
It's
effective
11 o'clock.
to work. Now, I hope that everybody will able to do more retreats, because it's very nice. It's harder to do these things when you're seeing a different world show up around you. In retreat, the environment's more controlled. You're not getting the outside input from your phone, from the TV, from your friends. You just getting what's going on in here. So it's a little more helpful in deep retreat to work with those things, like day to day. Maybe it seems a little bit harder every day because you sit maybe on your cushion, for example, in the morning, and then that's good. And then you go out and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. And then you do that every day and it doesn't look like it's changing. But it is. I'm just saying that in retreat, the way retreat can be structured, you're spending your whole day working on it. But when you're living in the world, you're only getting one part of your day usually. on your cushion. And then, you know, whatever we learn gradually to do throughout the day, it adds up. So if we're watching our ethics throughout the day, that's a little break in the normal reality. That's a break for seeds to be planted throughout the day. It's like investing. You know, it doesn't seem like putting $1 away a day will add up very much. But eventually, over many years, and with compound interest, the seeds ripening very quickly, it actually does. So our efforts are like that. But maybe what we see doesn't reflect that right away. But don't doubt that it's not going to make the change and transformation that you want, because it's the only thing that ever has worked.
Thank you so much. I don't know if everybody, I guess everybody can feel your power and your structure and your one-pointed concentration in what you're doing, even when you're talking about it. That's great. I want to have this power.
Yeah, you're on your way. If really, if I can do it, anybody can do it. But I just want to thank all of you for caring about this and know that you have the tools and the things that matter and this world that you're envisioning. Like, don't doubt it. We are powerful beyond what we understand in our ability. And we just get glimpses initially. But then over time, those glimpses of our practice working adds up. And I think that's what gives that confidence. Oh, I know this is working. My understanding's growing. Okay, I'm not maybe a beginner now. Maybe I'm more intermediate. Okay, maybe I'm an advanced beginner now. I see how it works, but I'm still beginner. You know, we just get better. We get better and better as we keep going. But all those investments of efforts that we make to listen, to practice, to talk about it, to help somebody, all of those efforts add up. Yeah, and they're fun. And they're really fun.
Yeah. Guys, if you have any questions, please write it down in the chat. Dear Coco, do you have time, a little bit time? No?
I do.
You do.
I do.
Okay, maybe 20 minutes more or not? What
Hmm?
is about your timing? 15, 20 minutes more?
I do.
Okay
I
with
probably
you?
have up to 11:30 before I have to go.
Okay, great. So if you have any question, please type in the chat. And I do have a question. So we are here, kind of some people who are sick, who are having some body issues, and you are telling me that this thing is also the result of my seeds. If so, I have some physical issues with my body. How can I fix it if I suffer from my sickness? So we have some people who has addictions, who are relatives of addicted people, some people who suffer from cancer or MS, like me or somebody else. What we can do with autoimmune diseases, with cancer, with just a lot of stuff. If it's all coming from my seeds, then I can have a power to change it. But how can I, if I'm suffer?
Yeah. It is like what we've been talking about. We're having an experience right now of seeds that were planted in the past, and they're ripening like this in this body with whatever conditions it has, with a loved one having a sickness or addiction. Those are ripenings. So there's a lot of ways to work with those. One powerful way is whatever that individual sickness or a loved one suffering brings up in you, the answers are the same. Take it away from everybody else. Do the Tonglen that ever has to experience that, and replace it with what would make them amazing, like loved ones that are healthy and thriving, a world where there's no sickness, but people are loving to create things and take care of others. There's information in whatever we're experiencing. So if it's health or cancer or those things. So there's a lot of, I don't know if the ways I'm thinking are advanced practices or not, but Tonglen's a great one. May nobody have this ever. May they have health and vibrancy instead. May this difficulty I'm experiencing help me get the most out of life. Like usually it's the hardest things that we experience that give us the most power that we need for transformation. It gives us the information we need to transform the world into what we want it to be. I don't want sickness in the world. I don't want addiction. And so we use that. Okay, that's one thing. And it's very powerful. The thing is, if you're suffering from a sickness daily or acutely or chronically, those are all opportunities to practice, to remove it. You have something that's helping to strengthen your wisdom and your ability to remove sickness from the world ever. Like that's ends up being a gift because it takes something difficult to get at where we really need to work. If we're happy and thriving all the time without difficulty, we almost are very spoiled and like godlike, maybe ego being, everything's great, I never have to look at anything, and we don't have the opportunity to change. We never have to look at seeds or how the world really works because there's no challenge. There's no difficulty. You see, the difficulties are necessary. I'm sorry. They're necessary to know where we need to work. They make us find the answers that we need. Why is there addiction? Why do I see that? What's the problem? Are they not having love? Do they not understand wisdom? Do they not understand this meaningful, purposeful life? Has the world told them something not true? Are they lost in despair, thinking they don't have power, that things can't change? Are they in such pain? They want to quiet the pain? And all of that's valid and understandable, but it means they don't have this wisdom of seeds. They don't have this understanding of where things come from. And so they become destined to live it over and worse because of the way seeds ripen. So what is needed is for us to work with the difficulties showing up in our own health or the health of a loved one or the health of the world. Like we need that to make the change. And in that change, we become the person that we really want to be, the person we really want to show up for the world. Like we must use what we are experiencing and work with it if we're going to become the kind of person that can help everybody else. Like in that work, you get the answer of how to help everybody else. It's through your difficulty that you get to become that person that can help all beings on a billion planets. It's not just a beautiful thing to say. It's really, because of seeds, the way things work. And I hate it because there's so many awful things in the world. I mean, awful, as you know, as we all know. And if we want to remove those awful things, we better start cleaning ourselves up. You know, changing our behavior, how we treat ourselves, how we treat others, what seeds we plant. And it becomes easier when you're tapped into the love that you feel for other people. Like, you can't sit and blame yourself. Oh, poor me. Like, you can have compassion for yourself. I hate this is happening for you. You know, today I don't feel like I can fight. Can I just lay down? Yeah. And then get back up and go at it. Yeah, that it's just telling us where we need to work. Like, I am having this condition with myself, and let me remove it from everybody else. And instead, so it gives you the fuel to change it. It's weird. It's the answers in the difficulty. I'm thinking about a friend that I loved who had addictions, but was a beautiful, beautiful person. And it took him to study once with Geshe Michael, and you know, it broke my heart. He didn't even think he didn't deserve to be in the room. So he went outside, and I got it out of him. Like, why? I kept going, why? No, come. And it broke my heart, but it also showed me his beauty. He's like, I don't deserve to be in there. I'm like, wow, that view of yourself, to think that you're so awful or terrible. I mean, it broke my heart. But it helped me understand just how deeply, you know, love and the compassion is and what it takes. And, you know, I just think it's a war, but it's a war that's going on here, where we have to fight on how to care for someone and show them differently. And when you can do it yourself, if you see there's some power or something that I'm talking about, how I practice or what I do, that's what happens when you take on your experience and practice. You get your results. And that's how we help everyone, by getting through our own experience, whatever our difficulties are. We use that. And that's what gives us the power to help everybody, which is the thing that we really want. The thing we really want to do is take care of everybody, love everybody. We want to, we don't know how. The how is dealing with what's showing up for you and removing it from the world and going deep to develop your understanding of wisdom. Little by little, that simple thing of ultimate wisdom and love, compassion and wisdom, how they work together. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's profound. It's the thing that makes it possible for us to be, for our experience to be going on, like everything. So when I talk about this, you have to use what's happening to you. The more you sit on the cushion, you come down, you like try to understand what it is in its most subtle form. How do you work with something that's so subtle that it has no tangible existence? That you can't see it, but it's working, functioning. It's funny, it's very difficult, but it's only your wisdom growing to understand it. Like, it's more subtle than the denseness of our experience. You see where things come from? is so subtle. So what allows us to experience it is keeping our ethics, developing our wisdom, quieting the mind down. You see, if it's truth and you quiet yourself down, keep your ethics, the ethics makes your meditation more powerful. Doing it because you want to help everyone. With seeds, the way things work, that's the fuel, that's the power that makes it happen, that brings it into being. It's in the system. And because it's ultimate truth, it can be experienced. It's just so subtle from what we're used to. And so working when those things that hurt you, that's happening to you physically or someone you love or the world around you, that love that you have to figure out what the heck is going on and what am I going to do to change this? Oh, right, I'm going to do this tongue, then I'm going to remove it. This is the best I can do right now. This is my understanding of wisdom at this level. I'm going to use it. And it creates a goodness that allows our wisdom to grow gradually. It's like, well, at this point, when we're first starting, maybe the wisdom's not so big. Maybe you're just going to repeat what you heard. It's fine. But eventually that begins to reinvest itself in your understanding and your understanding grows. So I think it's fun to experiment, to give it to yourself and see, what can you do? Can you make your wisdom grow? Can you make your wisdom grow and your love and your compassion grow enough to see this? And it works. Like it cleans your eye and oh my gosh, it's really phenomenal to know that's how the world works and that you can create it all and have been. So little by little each day. I'm sorry. I don't want anyone to feel sick or have those problems. But when we do have them, they're the one, and it's when it hurts that drives us to change. It's like kind of like we need the difficulty to make the change.
This is the great gift you gave to us, just to think that everything bad we encountered with, this is the gift. We can take it and work with it. This is the way to change the world.
Kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. I think it's a crazy wisdom.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry, there is a question in the chat. What is spiritual laziness?
Laziness?
Laziness. Spiritual laziness. Yeah.
Laziness?
Laziness. Yes. Spiritual one.
I'm not sure I know the answer to that really. I mean, I have what I think. But like I'm thinking about people who don't have seeds to hear wisdom and they're just happy to go along with the status quo, the way things are. But I really think most people are trying in their own way for their own happiness. And so when you ask me this question, I'm like, what is spiritual? Is it just ignorance? Like, it doesn't sound correct to say that, oh, spiritual laziness is ignorance, like not knowing. It often takes something very difficult in a person's life to look for a deeper answer in wisdom. So maybe spiritual laziness is, this is tough. Maybe you hear something good from these teachings on seeds and it's great and you tried a little bit, but then life happens and you just kind of go on at the level that you're at. Like you like it, you hear it, but didn't apply it. And I think that happens, you know, not everyone has seats to hear about this and care about the things that we get to hear and study and practice. So maybe just think yourself as really lucky and maybe plant seeds for those people. I had a friend who's a practitioner. His thought was that everybody's doing the best they can at the moment they're in. And I was like, come on. He's like, well, really, if you look at it, it was a debate. We're still debating. If people could do better, wouldn't they do better? Why wouldn't they do better? I mean, because then if they didn't do better, it's because they couldn't or just didn't. Is that a strange thing to say? Here's a funny debater. You're always doing what you're doing is the best that you can be doing. I don't know. I still debate it. I'm like, no, you could always do better. But he's like, no, in the moment, you're doing the best that you can. Anyway, spiritual laziness. I don't know. I look at myself and I think I could be doing better all the time. And I try not to let myself off the hook and say, well, you're trying something. I try to show up compassionately, I guess, when I respond to myself facing this question about spiritual laziness in my own life, in my own practice. And I try to be gentle with myself and celebrate what I am doing. And I try to follow the advice that I shared with you. Well, can I be doing more? What can I be doing more? Keeping my ethics makes me confront myself. Maybe when somebody accuses me of something or when I experience myself, maybe seem not so kind to somebody. And I have to question myself, like, am I really not being kind to somebody? Like, what is going on? I maybe look like I'm not, but I know that I care. And what I'm working on is reaching this. But in this moment, so I think how to learn to be truthful with ourselves, because I for sure have experience with myself being in denial, like denying truth or denying how I could behave or respond better or the efforts I could make, for example. And I think that's really probably the hardest thing that I've had to face in my personal practice was having to be responsible for times I responded and I'm embarrassed about it. I'm embarrassed to look back on how I responded to people, to things I did that were wrong and become accountable for it. So I'm still, as I talk to you, just trying to figure out what is this spiritual laziness? Not making better efforts when you know that you can. Yeah, so not making efforts with your activities, better efforts when you know that you can.
Yeah, probably that. That is a great answer. And you taught us a lot, and I would love to continue talking to you.
Nice to get to
It's
know you.
say 5 minutes till half an hour. If you have more time, we have another question.
Yes.
Do you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So in the chat, I don't allow myself to be angry, but it is there, deeply suppressed, and now my health is suffering.
Oh, yes.
How to release all that anger and not to be planting bad seeds?
I don't think anger is always bad. I think I'm talking now about emotions that we have to, if we can, at some point experience our emotions in a truthful way, like to yourself, because I don't mean react to the emotion, but experience it because it has information to you. It has information for you. Like that's your being giving you information about how you feel about something. And when you feel it truthfully, you can get at what's really going on. You can understand how you feel honestly. You can understand who you are, how you're wired, what your mechanism is, what your mind, your body, and your heart feel about things. It's like not safe. I can't yell at my parents. You know, I can't be disrespectful. And we're not talking about being disrespectful or being angry at somebody. We're talking about feeling it and experiencing what information it reveals to you. Like that's important. So you can do it to yourself. Like, I'm feeling so angry. I just want to yell at this person. Like, why are you doing that? You're messing it up. And then maybe it's better like, all right, well, let me go see, why was I so on the cushion on your meditation? What was that all about? What was underlying factor there? That information is for you. Like, why are you so angry? Why was that person? Why did I want to respond so angry towards them? Oh, because they accused me of something that wasn't true. So the process in the cushion, well, what was the truth for you? Oh, I wasn't just being mean. I was trying to get something done. I only have a certain amount of time to accomplish something, and I have to do it because I have all these other things. So it was me trying to manage my time, not that I was really angry. Like you have to unravel what was going on. So I think, and that's what happens when it does get suppressed, right? It builds up and your being, your wisdom being, your heart and your mind's trying to get your attention. Like they don't want to be separated from you. This amazing thing that creates us all. It wants recognition. It doesn't want to suffer, but you have that option. But we don't always have the help to find it or how to become united. Like your being wants to unite with you. Your love, your wisdom wants to know you, wants you to know it, because we can only be effective from working from that place. You see, if we don't feel the emotions and that you're experiencing this, they become suppressed and they create physical problems, mental problems, seeds. And you have the opportunity to catch it with that question. You already understand on some level that you created that from your suppression, which is already 50% of the work. So the time to get to know yourself and how you feel. This happened in the retreat when I said like that first year, I had to sit with myself and all the choices I ever made, all the ignorances I've ever done, all the stupid choices I've made. I have time to unravel them, unpack them, and feel them. Usually, life's coming at us all the time. We don't have time to process everything that we're experiencing. This is why, for health, meditation is really important, because we're creating all the time, whether we like it or not, planting seeds. Oh gosh, I'm trying to figure out how to connect the planting seeds to the anger to getting the health in 1 minute that we don't have. But I think loving yourself for showing up and you don't have to necessarily like it, but feel the pain of whatever your anger has created in you that created sickness. You have to sit with it. And it's not like maybe one day, but every day, like give yourself the opportunity to feel what was suppressed. And it'll come up in stories, in memories, and conversations that happened in the past that added up to that. And my experience is that by going through that, it will release whatever it caused. It will bring you to your healing because it's processed. It's not processing it that got built up and created blockage and sickness. So I think by facing whatever it was that you were angry about, you're loving yourself enough to hear how you feel or how you felt when those things were specific things were accumulating. So if you're able to give yourself permission to feel them and re-experience them on your cushion. Oh, wow, I really felt like that. I didn't know. I think it's your heart or your little girl or your little boy who was just surviving. When you go back and say, I love you. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you in the way that you needed. I'm here now and I'm not leaving you. And I love you. You're saying this to yourself. What do we do now? I'm here now. And you hold your little self, your little imaginary or how you were as a little kid. And you're like, I'm here and I'm hold you and I'm going to help you through everything now. Like unload on me. I got you. Like when we're little, we don't know how to do that for ourselves. But when we get older, we do. So we can go back to that little self and hold her and say, I know I wasn't there. I'm here now. What do you need? I love you more than anything. I'm not going anywhere. What do you need? What we're angry about? Who hurt you? What happened? You tell me everything. I'm here for you every day, every moment. What do you need? You tell me, and you be there for yourself. It's the compassion. It's the love. It's the forgiveness. It's the not knowing. I didn't know how to be there for you. You were just a child. We're wise and I haven't left you. I'm here now. What do you need? Show me. I will help you. So I would say that you're on your way. You're on your way because like, oh, I suppressed anger and now it's gotten so much. I'm sick. And so go back and love that little self that didn't know how to deal and say, I'm here. I'll help you go through it, all of it now. I'm on your side. I'm your number one love. I protect you. Everything you want, I want to happen. I want everything you want, your wildest dreams, your biggest heart. I want that. I want that for you now. You tell me. You be your biggest supporter to that younger self that didn't know how to manage things. Do it now. I hope
Thank
that
you, dear Coco. That's great.
Mhm.
And it's always helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we didn't know.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I would love to continue our talk for a week more
It's
without
fun.
stopping.
Thank you
And
all so much. Thank
yeah,
you for having me, Katrin. Thank you
and
all. I wish I could see all of you faces. Let me see if I can switch mine before I have to go. Where
we
is
can,
that gallery button? Okay.
yeah, the gallery button
Oh,
is
there's
on
a
the
view.
right
Oh,
top.
there it is. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope to see you next time in our program. And
Oh,
I appreciate all your wisdom and all the deepest wisdom you brought to us in the very simple language, simple level. We can absorb it and we can use it for our practice.
oh, good, 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 good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. I'm so excited for all the people that you're going to help by practicing and learning to apply it. We need you. The world needs you. They need us. Yeah. So we'll do our best.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you. And thank you all who will watch this recording because it's gonna be in YouTube. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coco. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thanks for studying and caring about those things, everybody.
Doesn't
Okay.
work. Doesn't work.
All right. Okay.
Should be.
All right.
Mm.
All right.
Yes.
Saying goodbyes are hard. So see you later
Yep.
in real time. That'd be great.
Thank you so much.